Okay, some of the things we've looked at on the previous page are related. Okay, so frequency, the number of waves we see per second, will be related to the wavelength and the velocity. Okay, because if the velocity increases, we're going to see more waves pass a point in a second, so the frequency is going to increase. Likewise, if a wavelength gets bigger, then because it's longer, we're not going to see as many waves pass a point in a second. So those three quantities are related to each other. And if we look at this example here, let's say we have a wave where, I don't know if it's drawn enough there, but it'll do. A full wave is 2 meters long. Okay, and this wave is moving to the right with a velocity of 10 meters per second. Now, what that means is if I'm standing here looking at the wave, in 1 second, it will move 10 meters. Okay, and if we think about that, that means that 2 meters will move past me, this 2 meters will move past me, this 2 meters will move past me, this 2 meters will move past me, and so will this 2 meters. And that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves that are going to move past me. And how we can work that out is, if I take the 10 meters, the speed, essentially the 10 meters each second that is going to move past me, and I divide it by the length of a wave, the wavelength, it will tell me that we will get 5 waves per second. However, that is just the velocity, okay? And this is just the wavelength, and the number of waves per second is just the frequency, okay? And if I multiply both sides of this equation here by lambda, the wavelength, it gives me V equals F lambda. And this is our wave equation. It is something you're going to have to learn off for your exams. That's not what I want to do. And you'll have to also learn how to use it, okay? So the velocity of the wave here is just the speed in meters per second. The frequency is the number of waves we see per second, which in other words sounds just hertz. And lambda is the wavelength, which should be in meters. So let's see how we use this equation. In fact, all equations in physics, because we haven't really done this a lot yet. So it says a sound wave has a frequency of 660 hertz. And what I want to do with any written question is I want to extract the information from the question. So it says frequency is 660 hertz. And I just write that over at the side here. Wavelength, remember lambda, this funny simple Greek letter, is our wavelength, is 0.5 meters. And what is the speed of the wave? Even though we use the word speed, same meaning of that as velocity, so we use V. So I just write out my information like that. I then try and think, do I know an equation that links those three things together? And it is this one here, V equals F lambda. Write it out, because that will be worth a mark in your exam. And then write it out again. But if you know something, put it in. V, we don't know what V is, so we'll just leave it as V. F is 660. Lambda is 0.5. Type that into your calculator. You are like calculators in every single physics test. You should bring one to every single lesson. And that gives us 330. And it's a velocity, which is a speed, so we should put our unit meters per second after it. Okay, let's look at another example. Wave has a speed, so this time we're given the velocity of 120 meters per second, and a wavelength lambda of 3 meters. What is the frequency of the wave? Write out your equation, V equals F lambda. Write it out again, put in your values. Don't try and do any rearranging until the values are in. So V is 120 is equal to F. We don't know what that is. Multiplied by lambda 3. We now know that 3 F's are worth 120. However, we want to find out what 1 is. So we divide both sides by 3. So we're left with F on one side. And if you type that into your calculator, you get 40. It's a frequency, so it's hertz. Okay. What I want you to do now is to try the questions below. If you're not too confident with the maths, you can start on the easy ones. If you're happy enough with how those examples went, start at question 3, the medium ones. I would like everybody to be able to do all the medium questions. There's some harder questions at the end. Give them a go, but don't worry too much if you can't do them. I'll post little videos of the solutions on this document as well.